Welcome to the Gray Rabbit Finance Podcast, where we chase the truth behind the money. I'm your host, Tyler, and today we're digging into the mind of Eric Yeung, a Hong Kong-based manufacturing titan, gold and silver savant, and a viral finance thinker. We've structured this episode into 3 acts. The past, Eric's journey from factory floors to financial frontiers, including his aha moment and the biggest challenge he's conquered in the markets. The present, a deep dive in today's chaos, the LBMA drain, Basel III's looming impact, and why China's manufacturing boom could blow the lid off paper silver. The future, from Trump's sovereign wealth fund to, well, let's just say Eric's theories will make you rethink everything. And yes, we're even touching on a mystery topic so explosive it involves UAPs, physics, and the fate of human governance. Now make sure you stick around to the end, because we'll have Eric's one-sentence investment advice and how to follow his next moves. Without further ado, let's hop in. All right, Eric, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, Tyler. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, so Eric, what inspired you first to get into the financial markets, and what was your aha moment?
My profession in the past 25 years is basically contract manufacturing. So I
Hmm.
manufacture items out of China for our customers, and like the design and the specifications are from our customer.
Hmm.
We make it according to their specification from our factory with our factory partners, and we ship it to them with a turnkey solution, basically from beginning to end. Okay,
And so
so
that
that's
got
what.
you interested in commodities mainly, or
No, that's just like that's meant from my engineering background because
okay.
that's what I'm an engineer by trade. So
Hmm.
that's where that's how that connects. But I got into finance, or stock investing primarily because of tech stocks. Actually,
Oh,
I made a
okay.
lot of money from tech stocks in the from 2010 to 2018. I made a lot of money, like millions of dollars actually, in tech
Wow,
stocks.
that's
So
awesome.
that's how I got like really interested in investing in finance. But
Hmm. That
I
okay.
actually got out of tech stocks early. I mean, I got out of Nvidia a lot earlier than before it blew up,
Yeah.
100 times basically. So, but I got out basically right before the 2019 repo crisis,
Okay.
the tech stocks, and I got into physical metals, gold and silver, and miners.
Okay.
So that's the
Nice.
story. Okay.
Okay. And
Yep.
so just to touch on another subject, what was the biggest challenge from your investing career so far?
I think timing is the biggest challenge. A
Yeah.
lot of the times, my entry points are pretty good, pretty decent in general, but exiting the position is a big challenge. The tech stocks, some of them I just got out too early.
Yeah.
I never expected them to just, print so much money and pump up,
Yeah.
tech bubble. I mean, like that, I just didn't expect that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's the challenge. Yeah.
and I saw your gold chart recently, which I'll overlay on the screen now. Um, but I just wanted you to talk about what was your thought process behind that? I think you mentioned something about a global liquidity index.
Yeah. So that actually is a chart from the 2007 to 2008 gold
Hmm.
chart. It's just like a basically a ripoff of that chart from that period. Okay.
Okay.
And it's actually something that this guy you probably know, Bald Guy Money. He actually created that chart. It's from like pre GFC, the global
Okay.
financial crisis, like
Hmm.
2007, 2008. Okay. So that's how gold moved
Hmm.
during that period. And the reason why I thought that that chart is, and time has already proven that that chart is totally accurate, right? Because I
Yeah.
mean, I posted that chart the end of August, so it basically predicted almost every move.
It was pretty
Yeah,
spot on.
yeah, from the end
Yeah.
of August to today, it's pretty spot on. Like it predicted that when Donald Trump became president, there will be a big correction, right?
Yeah.
That was a like spot on prediction, and they predicted the recovery, right,
Yeah. Hmm.
after his inauguration. So anyway, the reason why I thought that chart would apply today is because, like plainly speaking, that's really like the kind of game plan
Mm-hmm.
that they had back then, and it's going to be the game plan that they have this time because it works every single time, right?
Yeah.
And also it matches, like you said, with liquidity flows. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if we use the reverse repo chart
Mm-hmm.
as a reference for liquidity flows, right?
Yeah.
It matches perfectly. There you have
Okay.
it.
Thanks, man. I
Right?
appreciate
Okay.
that insight.
No
All
problem.
right, now
Yeah.
let's move into the current market conditions. And so we're going to first start with the LBMA drain. Recent reports show a spike in physical gold deliveries at the COMEX, 15 times the normal volume. This is the second largest gold delivery notice since 1994. At the same time, the United States potential tariffs, which are now on hold for a month, seem to be accelerating the flow of gold from London, LBMA, to the COMEX, and experts warn of a major stockout on the LBMA's silver reserve soon. Eric, can you explain who is the mystery buyer behind the unprecedented surge in physical gold deliveries at the COMEX?
Okay, that's a very good question, Tyler. So first of all, who's the mystery buyer, the big buyer at the COMEX? Let us do some detective work and
Okay.
go through all the possible candidates, right? And
Hmm.
we eliminate all of them. And then it's kind of like Sherlock Holmes. And then
Yeah.
we come out with an answer from logical deduction, right?
Yep.
I mean, this is kind of like a science. So let's do that.
Okay.
So first of all, the COMEX. The situation now is that somebody huge is taking huge physical gold delivery at the COMEX, possibly, most likely withdrawing from the COMEX votes, right?
Yeah.
That's the fact. And Robert Keynes actually said recently, early this week, that the amount of physical gold right now that they want to withdraw, or not withdraw, take delivery,
Hmm.
is potentially withdraw, is 4 million troy ounces of physical gold. So
Wow.
that's a lot of gold. That's a lot of gold. Okay. So if it's somebody that the COMEX, if it's just a regular bullion trader, some regular traders or China, India, whatever, do you think the COMEX would allow this to happen?
No.
That they allow this big gold buyer to stand for delivery
Hmm.
and then cause a daisy chain trail of destruction all the way to the LBMA and turn the LBMA upside down?
No.
Do you think no? Like none of these guys, right?
The only
Yeah,
precedent I can think of is the Hunt brothers, and they made them settle, right? So,
yeah. I mean, the Hunt brothers didn't exactly stand for physical delivery at the end. I'm talking about the end
mhm,
event in 1980, right?
yeah.
It was like they were at that point. I think they have like a lot of leveraged paper positions, right?
Hmm.
And they might not have enough cash to uh, physically settle, even if they
Hmm.
wanted to, right? But the point is, when they tried to counter the silver market, the COMEX used every possible avenue to stop them.
Yeah.
Correct? And
And
they're not doing it now. They're not doing.
eh,
That's my point. They're not doing it now, right? So who can that big
who can
gold
that be?
buyer be?
Yeah.
It can only be one entity: the U.S. government,
Yep.
the Federal Reserve,
Hmm.
or their proxies,
Yeah.
right? Like now, we just spent some time talking this through. I mean, give me another possible option.
I can't think of any because why would they get special treatment if, the only person that
Okay,
would get special treatment is who you just named? Yeah.
you want to talk about the tariffs? So what's with the tariffs?
Yeah.
Why are they doing the tariffs, right? I
Let me
mean,
just
is that
explain it real
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
So the U.S. government wants to put 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China. The tariffs on Canada and Mexico have been postponed until March. And I saw something that the U.S. imports most of its silver grain from Mexico. So this could have huge implications for the market. Um, I'll start throwing in some more numbers as you explain.
Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, back to the tariffs. Why? Like, I mean, a lot of experts. I don't want to name any names or step on anybody's toes, but I'm sure you read some of this stuff. A lot of people, experts, whatever, they are saying that the tariffs are just a front. It's a
Hmm.
distraction. It doesn't have anything to do with the current COMEX LBMA situation, right?
Yeah.
They're saying that, right? They're wrong. Why do I say that? The situation is initiated by the big gold buyer at the COMEX,
Hmm.
standing for physical delivery. Okay, that's how the whole crisis, if you call it that, right, is
Yeah.
initiated, right? But the tariffs is they are the accelerator. They are accelerating the process of gold and silver, physical gold and silver, being repatriated into the US by the US government proxies. Now, why do I say that? Right now, you can buy any silver from anywhere or any gold from anywhere, gold and silver, right? But
Hmm.
let's focus on gold because the
Yeah.
gold is where the LBMA has a physical shortage of
Hmm.
because they went from T+2 to T+84, right? 84
Yeah,
days
that's right.
for delivery,
So,
right? So we don't know about silver. Silver
wait,
is
Eric,
speculation, right?
I
Yeah,
want to
sorry, go
talk
ahead.
about that real
Yeah.
quick because the LBMA is saying now 4 to 8 weeks delivery time, which you just mentioned.
Yes. Yes.
And I heard rumors that this was because of mismatched standard bar sizes, that the London standard bar is 400 ounces and COMEX is 100 standard ounces. Um, can you talk about that a little bit? Because we spoke about that the other day, and I just want you to clear that up for people to let them know if you think that's BS or not.
I absolutely think that's BS. The reason why is because there were earlier reports saying that LBMA members are begging their respective central banks to let them lend gold, to let them
Hmm.
borrow,
Yeah,
borrow gold from those central banks. So
yeah,
why would you be pushed to borrow physical gold from your central bank if there's no shortage
yeah.
at the LBMA, right? And also, there are reports coming out. These are all mainstream financial media, by the way. Okay,
Hmm.
saying that the Swiss refineries are working overtime.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you mentioned the Swiss refineries. Back in December, we saw an 11 times increase to 64.5 tons of gold flowing from Switzerland to the US, and November's number was 5.9 tons. There is some truth to that.
So just like yesterday or 2 days ago, Reuters came out with an article saying that India um, traders or wholesalers, if you
Hmm.
will, or physical gold, they're shipping their physical gold from their tax-free zone because they have a tax-free zone where they keep their gold in the warehouse, right?
Uh-huh.
Back to the US because of the tariff arbitrage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why would all these people be shipping gold to the US if it's simply a bar size, issue? The
Yeah.
bar size issues between the LBMA and the COMEX were resolved back in
Yeah.
2020. This is all like just BS. It's all excuses. And then on top of that, like you know, we were just talking offline. What's happening with the BOE now, with the Bank of England?
Yeah.
The news that came out, right?
The
There's a
discount that you were
news
talking about.
discount. Yeah, exactly. There's a
Yeah.
discount. They're knocking off $5 of
Hmm.
BOE gold for their members to buy. You can't just walk into the Bank of England to buy gold. These are all authorized participants of the Bank of England, right? And often these authorized participants are also at the Bank of England are also members of the LBMA.
Yeah.
So my understanding and deduction, like I keep using the word deduction
Hmm.
because we're not just guessing off the blue here, right? Okay, looking at the situation, the $5 is simply paperwork transaction fee, whatever you call it, of the LBMA members and the BOE authorized participants, right? To
Hmm.
take gold out of the BOE vault and then move it to the LBMA.
And they're denying shortages, and we already know that 82 billion worth of gold has moved from London to New York. And they just, they were citing that it was a logistics error with these mismatched bars. But I think
And
that the delivery time, like you mentioned before, kind of just proves that this is a BS excuse. So earlier this week, we saw that the overnight reverse repo fell 48% in one day. Just like you to think about that and let me know what your idea is with that.
well, don't you think that this is a coincidence that like that reverse repo has been falling and accelerated recently in the
Yeah.
last 3 months? Don't you think it's weird that when that reverse repo started, dumping or going down in an accelerated manner, that this big gold buyer started to stand for physical delivery, say 15 times,
Yeah.
like at the COMEX. And like people ask me, well, like if it's the US government standing for physical delivery of the gold, where are they getting the money from? Well, there you have it, right? It's a match.
I mean,
Am I right?
that makes complete sense.
Government can take, that repo liquidity and do stuff with it.
Mhm.
Why not use it to buy physical gold this time? I mean, again, it's just deduction. None of this stuff has absolute proof, right? But we're basing our analysis on facts.
Yep. And
That's it.
that
Yeah.
leads me to my next point, which is
Yes.
another point of evidence we've talked about. Let me get into it. It's Basel III rules for US banks start in July 2025. They'll be phasing in over the next 3 years. These rules apply to gold as a tier one asset, but not to silver. Silver is going to be a tier three asset. Why are investors rushing to pull gold from the LBMA 6 months before the rules begin, while silver is also being moved heavily to the COMEX? We had 346 million ounces of silver in January 2025 in the COMEX. What's causing this behavior and how will this affect the precious metals markets?
So I wrote something about that. Like some people say, well, is the current situation at the COMEX and the LBMA a result of the US Basel III implementation? Bullion banks pulling out gold from the LBMA and shipping it to the US because of Basel III, right? So, and I explained, I said, I mean, that's 6 months out, first of
Yeah,
all, right?
yeah,
I mean, like, it's not, just think about it as if you are a bullion bank, right? You're not going
mhm,
to turn the LBMA upside down for something that is going to happen 6 months later,
yeah,
okay? Even with the tariffs, right? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, after the tariffs are implemented, let's say they are, right? Like, I'm talking
yeah,
about, you know, the Mexican and the Canadian tariffs, right? Let's say they
yeah,
are implemented, right? There are always going to be white gloves in this world, like people who are willing to make a little bit of money and then just melt down the gold and recast it for you,
mhm,
right? Like Indians are going to be willing. I'm sure that the guys in the Middle East are going to be willing, right? The
mhm,
Swiss, they're going to be willing, most likely, right?
mhm,
So
yeah,
therefore, I do not think that the Basel III is the reason for the current crisis at the LBMA. That's my take on that. But
yeah,
in terms of Basel III, that's, you know what? Like, it makes sense that they are pushing through the Basel III and the tier one like status for banks in the US for gold as a tier
mhm,
one asset for banks in the US because Judy Shelton, you know her, right?
yeah,
I
mhm,
conversed with her on X. She said that in 2026, the US government is going to launch a physical gold US Treasury bond. Oh, and if the US government is going to do that, Basel III better, get started on time,
yeah. I think
which is happening,
she
right? It
said
makes sense. Yeah.
July 4th, 2026.
I think she's a very serious person, and she actually might be the next Fed chair. And this
Yeah,
time she will get confirmed. If you look at
yeah,
the confirmation process right now
mhm,
of Donald Trump's administrative team, a lot of people are getting confirmed. A lot of people who, just the normal plebs thought that they won't get confirmed are all getting confirmed right now.
yeah.
So I think Judy is going to get confirmed. That's my personal opinion on that matter. Yeah.
Okay, and then Eric, I just wanted to touch on one thing. So we said that we talked about the tariffs. We talked about how silver has been in well, I don't think we mentioned this yet, but silver's been in 4 years of a deficit with the supply, and 80% of the silver grain comes from Mexico. So I know that you told me that since the delivery notice for gold is further out than silver, you think that the shortage with gold is actually more severe than silver. But what are your thoughts on silver catching up to gold in this matter?
So on silver, because I keep telling you, Tyler, right? I want to look at things from like I want to base my analysis on facts.
Hmm.
Okay. And with silver, I take a more macro approach. Okay.
Hmm.
Because I mean, like, there's no indication right now at the LBMA, at least with the delivery time, right? There's no indication with the delivery time because it's still T+2
Yeah.
with the LBMA physical silver. There's no indication that they are in the dire shortage of physical silver, right?
Hmm.
Although experts like David Jensen, and I'm sure that he's correct, have told us that physical silver at the LBMA is actually pretty thin, and they
Hmm.
just got enough to satisfy whatever delivery demands that they have. I
Yeah,
look at it like this:
I'm going to
silver like this.
overlay the
Yeah,
LBMA vault charts for the viewers to see, but you can see that silver's very low in their vaults also.
very low, but not to the point where they don't have any. That's my point, right?
Yeah,
Not to, like gold, they don't have any. If it's
yeah,
T plus 84, they don't have any, right?
yeah.
Let's not dance around the issue, right? I mean, okay, but anyway, so silver, I look at it from a macro perspective, and I base my analysis on Sultan Posa's work, right? The
Yeah.
last paper that he wrote for the public before he went behind the paywall, he explained how the colonial system works
Hmm.
for manufactured products, the manufacturing value chain, and how the Western hegemon, the U.S. hegemon, would suppress commodity prices, especially things like gold and silver, especially silver,
Hmm.
to extract maximum profit for
Yes.
themselves because they are the ones who own the IP. They are the ones who, basically own the manufacturing process. They might not manufacture it themselves, but they own the manufacturing process,
Hmm.
okay, or they offshore the manufacturing itself, but they would have the expertise.
Yeah.
Like to give you an example, real world example, like Apple iPhones.
Yeah.
Foxconn, which is the manufacturer for Apple, they make maybe $5 per phone or $10. I
Hmm.
forgot what exactly the number is. Like even if you up it to $30, it's nothing compared
Yeah.
to what Apple is making, right? Apple is making, I don't know, 50% margins, gross margin on an iPhone or something like that. The US companies make the most money. The uh, third world countries or the manufacturers, they make like a small part of that, manufacturing value chain profit. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the colonial
Oh,
model, right?
okay,
So
Eric.
what has changed recently?
The U.S. can no longer subsidize Chinese industries with dirt cheap physical silver. So
Yeah,
maybe you can
that's
touch on that
exactly
too.
what I was getting
Yeah.
onto, which is why did I say that? Because like China owns the entire manufacturing value chain now.
Hmm.
I mean, they can design the product, they can make the product, they can market the product, and they can sell the product. So what's happening now is the colonial powers or the traditional Western powers, they don't extract any profit from that value chain whatsoever. And if
So,
China is the dominant player
mhm,
in that manufacturing value chain worldwide, right? Then if the US suppresses the price of silver, they are simply just helping China
yeah,
without helping themselves. In the past, they helped China to suppress the price of silver.
hmm,
China actually do not want the price of silver to rise very fast
yeah,
because they are
that
a
makes sense.
manufacturer, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so but in the past, the US were partners with China, right? They're
hmm,
partners. The US extracted a big cut of the profit. What I'm saying is that now the US doesn't extract a big part of that profit. So they no longer have the incentive to suppress the price of silver because it
okay,
takes it takes energy
yeah,
and commitment. And even if you're the reserve currency of the world, you got to throw that weight around to suppress the price of silver. The paper
absolutely, yeah,
games that they. So
yeah,
why would you do that for an adversary, China? If
yes.
you're not making money off that, right? It's over.
Well, and now
That's my thesis.
that leads
Yes.
me to one final question on that. Does this signal the beginning of the collapse of paper-driven metal markets?
We might be seeing the beginning of that. Look at what's happening to the LBMA.
I think so too.
This the city of London and the LBMA is
Yeah,
the center of this paper manipulation of metals. That's it.
nice. Yep, I think so too, man.
Yep.
We just determined that this is the beginning of the end for the paper markets. But now I want to move into the future of the U.S. sovereign wealth fund. Trump and U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent recently announced the creation of a U.S. sovereign wealth fund. Scott Bessent said, "We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. There will be a combination of liquid assets, assets that we have in this country, as we work to bring them out for the American people." Is this fiscal innovation or QE in disguise? What do you think, Eric?
I think absolutely. And also the CEO of Scottsdale's Mint, okay, recently said, and I believe he's correct. He said that a sovereign wealth fund do not need to disclose its physical gold position. Okay, so if the U.S. start buying physical gold using the this new sovereign wealth fund, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to disclose.
Yeah.
That can be like a very good secret or semi-secret financial nuclear bomb that they can
Yeah.
keep under the wraps, kind of thing, right?
I just see that inflating asset bubbles in a lot of other things now, because I guess it
Yeah,
depends on how they structure it and if the Fed will backstop it or not. So I guess, we don't know until we see how it's structured, but it seems like it could get out of hand pretty easily.
and I tell you right now, Tyler, it's of course it's, if you like go back to your original question, like not even talking about gold in their sovereign wealth fund, right? Of course, it's going to
Mhm.
be misused. It's probably going to be their slush fund for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's going to be they have QE like MBS, which is the mortgage debt security, UST, which is the QE US Treasury bonds, right? US treasuries in general. And they have these special purpose vehicles because they can't like directly buy equity, so they go through these SPVs, right?
Yeah.
They go through one layer and they can do it, right? So this is just, in my opinion, and you're correct in your original assumption that this is just another kind of SPV
Yeah.
for them to do QE, right?
Yeah.
That's basically it, right? But like I said, I added the gold components, because they don't need to disclose the gold position. Maybe they'll do it, right?
Yeah.
It's just some additional gold that they can hide under the wraps that, when something happens, they can pull it out.
You said the Scottsdale Mint was mentioning this. I think I
Yeah.
saw somebody else too talking about how this would be good for miners also.
I also wrote it on my X account on
Mhm.
the post. Miners are going to be the next Mac 7.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you let miners languish if you need miners to mine the natural resources for your reshoring efforts? The
Hmm.
U.S. is trying to reshore industry, right, to manufacture. Well,
Yeah.
you need miners. You can't let your miners languish like the way that they are now, right? They are barely breaking even. Some of these
Yeah.
miners can't have that. I mean, look, exploration companies.
I think we see like a lot of evidence mounting now for a capital rotation. I don't know what you think about that, but I think once we get a full steam ahead on that, that's going to make miners take off.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
All right, Eric. Well, we've made it to our final mystery topic here. This is something I know that you're very passionate about. If UAPs are confirmed as non-human technology, how might their existence fundamentally reshape humanity's understanding of physics, global governance, and our place in the cosmos?
Okay, so I focus on the physics because
Hmm.
as I told you, training, my original training is to be an engineer, right? So
Yeah.
as an engineer, half the courses I took are physics. I actually took quantum physics courses in university. Back then, we called it nuclear physics. It was a long
Okay.
time ago. But my understanding of the UAP situation is primarily from Bob Lazar on the physics side. I'm talking about the mathematics and the physics, right?
Okay.
And his explanation of how these UAPs achieve the ability to generate a gravitational field, because that's how they propel themselves.
Mhm.
They don't move around using an exhaust like a jet
Yeah.
engine, right? They it's field propulsion.
Hmm.
So they create a localized gravitational field, space-time manipulation, and basically move to another um, area of space by bending space-time.
Yeah.
Difficult to understand because that's not something that I can just say two sentences and people can
You have
understand it. But
you
that's
have to see a video about it
yeah,
probably. Maybe I can put one in at the end, but
yeah.
I'll
So I
put
have a
some
video
links
on
to them.
it.
So the
Yeah,
Pentagon said that they had a report come out that they were these propulsion systems that you're talking about were defying known physics. And
correct.
DARPA is including a $22 million budget increase for exotic materials. And now 47% of Americans now believe UAPs are extraterrestrial, up from 33% in 2021. So I think we're probably not, this is not the end of hearing about these UAPs, I think.
Yeah. So back to my physics, like as I was explaining it, right? Like the way Bob Lazar explained it, how this would be possible, right? Is that the field that they use, I'm talking about the NHI, the non-human intelligence of aliens, if you will, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The field that they use to create this distortion in space-time or localized gravitational field. The field is called element 115.
Inside the reactor, element 115 is bombarded with a proton, which plugs into the nucleus of the 115 atom and becomes element 116, which immediately decays and releases or radiates small amounts of antimatter. The antimatter is released in a vacuum into a tuned tube, which keeps it from reacting with the matter that surrounds it. It is then directed towards a gaseous matter target at the end of the tube. The matter and antimatter collide and annihilate, totally converting to energy. The heat from this reaction is converted into electrical energy in a near 100% efficient thermoelectric generator. This is a device that converts heat directly into electrical energy. Many of our satellites...
Okay. So what's so special about element 115, right? Bob Lazar explained that element 115 has a bleed out of subatomic strong forces. Okay? That is large enough that the NHI is able to utilize and amplify to a localized, strong gravitational field.
Wow.
Now, he called the strong force, the subatomic strong force, he called it gravitational field B. Gravitational field A is the normal, macro gravitational force that we feel, like on Earth, like this gravitational force, right? That's gravitational force A. He's saying that the strong force, subatomic strong force, is gravitational force B, and that bleed out that is amplifiable, okay, would create a localized gravitational field distortion. But he doesn't talk about how you amplify it. Like that's where the metamaterials come in, right? Like, I mean, let's say he's right. How do you detect it? You cannot detect gravitational fields right now. You can measure it using empirical measurements, like a telescope distance, with over time, etc. You can do that, like Newtonian measurements, basically, of gravitational forces. That's how you measure it. But you cannot measure gravitational force in the subatomic level. Okay? We don't have the equipment. So how do you measure it? How do you amplify it? Nobody knows, even if Bob Lazar is correct. Now, the most interesting thing that I did personally is I took Bob Lazar's report. I don't call it theory because he said it's not even a theory. It's a report. Yeah. Because he was actually involved in the special access program, in the top secret special access program at Groom Lake, at S4. That's near Area 51. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's where he said he worked. So I took that a step further. I wrote that all elements, all matter, all atoms in the universe have subatomic strong force bleed out beyond the nucleus of the atom, not just element 115. Okay? That's my theory. And what I'm telling you is that element 115 is the one that you can detect and amplify because it's beyond the threshold that bleed out. But all elements have bleed outs of the strong force.
Interesting.
Okay? And the strong force bleed out is carried beyond the nucleus by gravitons. Okay? Mm-hmm. Like what some of these people call the ether. Okay?
Yeah.
Like they don't ether, some of these scientists, I know mainstream physicists, they don't acknowledge that because nobody can measure it, okay? Right? Even gravitons are not acknowledged by mainstream science. But some theoretical scientists, they play around with that concept. Okay, so I'm taking the position that it actually exists. The ether exists, is filled with gravitons, okay?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that all atoms have bleed outs of the subatomic strong force, which is the gravitational field B. It propagates by gravitons. And that's the gravity that we see, that we feel, not see. that we feel in macro Newtonian physics. Makes sense?
So that's
So
the
every
subatomic strong force is the gravity that we feel. That's
exactly.
what you said? Okay,
what we because like they are trying to connect, like scientists have been trying to connect the Newtonian gravity to the subatomic level.
Mhm.
Okay, but they can't figure out like how it connects, right? They say, well, it must derive from the subatomic. It must derive from the quantum level, right? I'm saying that Bob Lazar already told us it derives from the subatomic strong force.
Yeah.
It's a bleed up, and is propagated by gravitons through the ether.
Eric,
Yeah.
so you said that we have trouble measuring this. If we were
Yes.
able to get a UAP, so that means we wouldn't be able to reverse engineer it, you think?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to reverse engineer that, but let's step back for a second. I'm not done with the science here, right?
Sorry.
Okay, it's okay because you gave me this opportunity to explain it. I want to just explain it a little bit further.
Okay.
So I actually formulated the equation because everybody loves, like all the scientists, they love equations, right? You can have a theory, but if you don't have a mathematical equation to express your scientific theory in physics, you cannot apply that theory into engineering, right?
Yeah.
Because everything has to be
absolutely.
quantifiable, right? So, so I took Bob Lazar's report and my theory based on Bob Lazar's report, and I derived this equation. The quantum gravitational force, which is basically gravitational force, is the same thing, equals to the quantum gravitational force constant, which I call it Q, okay, times a integral of all the subatomic strong forces that are leaking out of all the atoms that you're talking about, right? Like, for example, in, like, let's say the Earth, right? So we take all the subatomic strong forces that are leaking out of all the atoms of the Earth. Make sense? And then you add it all up. That's the integral, right? In calculus. Times the quantum gravity constant, and then divided by the radius of the mass that you want to attract squared. Okay? So that actually would be symmetric to the Newtonian physics equation for gravity. Yeah. So back to your question. So instead of using a gravitational field, I think they are now able to utilize electromagnetism to create a localized electromagnetic field to make that craft maneuver in the air.
And do you think that we'll be having more disclosures about this technology soon?
I doubt it. I think there's so much disinformation and lies and BS in the UAP community. Even if they disclose, let's say, right? I think what they will disclose is the science. It's what I'm talking about. The stuff I'm telling you right now, and you're going to put it live. You're going to put it on YouTube, right? In years down the road, it might be in textbooks. Yeah. Because they already know this stuff. If Bob Lazar is real, and that means what I'm telling you is real, right? And that means some guy in Area 51 or S4 already wrote this equation on a whiteboard 50 years ago. Yeah. You see what I'm saying, right? So it's there. It's done already, right?
The UN proposed a global UAP task force last year. And so that's why I thought maybe, we see that a lot of these UAPs are starting to violate airspace in a lot of places. There's a video I saw of a US Navy ship encountering one. Maybe I can overlay that too. But that's why I'm just thinking, like, maybe there's something to this story, and maybe we start to see more light on it, because maybe they're not going to be able to deny its existence as much anymore.
There's a guy called Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer. He's saying that all these UAPs, all these ops that are intruding in U.S. military airspace, he's saying that that's all the U.S. deep state black projects. Okay. He's saying it's all American. Now, my problem with that is this. If it's all American, why is it in China? Why is it in Japan? Why is it in the Philippines? If it's to intimidate Donald Trump, why is it all over the world? It doesn't make any sense.
No. And that would be an active war on China.
He said the goal is to intimidate Donald Trump. If that's the case, explain to me why it's all over the world. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No.
Okay. And if they have anything, fine. I think they might have something. Over the years, it's probably based on, like I said, electromagnetism.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Nazis were working on before they collapsed. An electromagnetic, anti-gravity device. So
yeah,
there you are. Right. So like I said, everything I said just now is based on facts and science, right? And well, the Bob Lazar thing, he says a fact, right? So yeah,
that's interesting, man. And I think, well explained. I'm not very deep into physics, but I think that you did a great job explaining that, and I'll put your equation up. And then just one last thing, Eric, if you had to give the viewers investment advice for this year in one sentence, what would you tell them?
Buy some physical gold and silver.
Smart man. All right, Eric, what's next for you, and how can listeners follow you on your journey or get connected?
Well, people can follow me on X. My X handle account is at KingKong9888. I share a lot on my X account. I write stuff there daily. Okay.
Sounds good, man. Thank you for your time, Eric. Really appreciate it. And everybody, if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.